Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Coming off a Saturday, obviously, like I said after the game, was proud of the guys be able to leave first conference game on the road, come out with a victory. Obviously, didn't play to the best of our ability. For 60 minutes of that game, there were some really positive moments, but ultimately, just too much inconsistency. Didn't start the way we wanted to start defensively, gave up a couple big plays, had a couple communication issues, things that we worked, things that have been right in practice, and then ultimately, in the moment, we did not execute. So, we've got to continue to improve there. I think the response was good. Even though we started off down, to get back to 31 to 10 was a positive. You look at what they did. I mean, Boston College did a good job controlling the clock. They had time of possession. We didn't have our second offensive possession until the second quarter. It was almost 50 minutes of real time, and one part of that is when we got to get off the field on third downs on defense. But then offensively, you got to make sure that you make the most of all opportunities. And offense scored. I think it was on 5 of their first 6 possessions. The 2-minute drive at the end of the first half was the only one that they did not score on. But we got there to the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, and on each of those drives, we had a correctable mistake that showed up, but you still a mistake in its own right. And we had the turnover for a touchdown. That really hurt us. We had a couple penalties, on potential big plays that hurt us, and ultimately we got to do a better job of finishing there offensively. There when we get to the get in the fourth quarter. Defensively, I think you look and you see. I mean, just disappointed in our third down performance. We had a very similar game to that, on third down, there a year ago, and one that we came up short in, and so it's, we've been outstanding in those situations, throughout the year up to this point, but did not execute very well. There's a variety of different issues. Some things, technique, a couple communication issues, and then ultimately just a few times just got to finish the play. We're in a position to be able to make it, but they had a way too much offense, there in this third down. I think it was close to 240 yards on third down situations, and that's in it. It's unacceptable for how we want to play and what we want to do. But coaches, players, everybody involved, we get an opportunity to go get better. Special teams wise, obviously we had the turnover on the onside squib kick. That's that's something that I've got to do a better job of making sure I put our guys in those situations. Things we talk about, but they're in the moment. We weren't didn't all execute exactly the things that we wanted to do in that moment, and so I mean I got to do a better job of coaching that. Really proud of Ryan for how he's operated, how he's kicked. He has done a great job to start off this season. Our coverage units, I think we've done some good things. I think Alex has punted the ball well, been able to flip the field. Our kickoff coverage unit doing a good job putting speed down the field. I like what I'm seeing there. And then, I think we're really close on our return units. Obviously, we had a critical mistake there late. Did not do didn't have the best judgment. There on the last punt. Fortunately, it didn't hurt us. But I mean, those are things you gotta be on point with, and obviously we have to learn from it. And but I mean, a lot of things to be able to learn from that game. Definitely, our players were upset. We're all glad we won, but players upset for some of the things that we put on film that we've stayed away from early in the season, and a great opportunity to go correct it. I thought they came back with a great edge in practice last night. I thought there was a great effort, and it's never been about the work. I mean, these guys they embrace the work, but there in the course of that game, I don't know if we always played with the edge that we are accustomed to. And you look at the game, I thought we played very disciplined for the majority part of it. We had 5 penalties, and ironically, the first penalty was when the score hit 31 to 10. And 4 of the 5 penalties were focus penalties. And as you get to that point of the game, and you're doing a lot of really good things, and you have a lapse in focus, a lapse in that edge which I talk about, and that showed up there late. And we pointed that out, we addressed it. Ultimately, like I said, I was proud of our guys. Defensively there, that last drive was big to be able to get the stops, to get a couple of sacks. I thought Coach Lord put them in a good position, and guys went out there and executed in the moment. But ultimately, that game didn't need to be what it was. But maybe it was just a thing that we needed to show the importance of every snap and every rep, and every opportunity. And so I think our guys, they got the message, and now we have to go do something about it.
First question will be Ira on your right.
One of the things this defense was really good about last year was not giving up the explosive plays. It seems like this year there have been some, especially the passing game. I know there was a big emphasis in the offseason on trying to create more plays defensively. Is there any correlation there, or is it something else?
No, I mean, I think we're a talented defense. I think it's when you can run, I think teams doing a good job of trying to create some of the misdirection things in the passing game where we've got to nothing that we haven't worked, and it's just in the moment making sure that we're able to go out there and communicate with that sense of urgency and the confidence, and to be able to apply that. That's shown up too much in the first 3 games, and it's something that is definitely being addressed. It's something that we've got to understand what people are going to try to do against us for how we play and what we do. But they've done a good job with some of the misdirection, and our eyes have not been right a few times, and allowed guys to get space. And then there's times that with all the right intention, we had a 3rd and 17 the other day that I think was one of the plays of the game, up 31-10, and you sit there and a rep we'd look, 10 guys checked immediately to the coverage and the defensive play and structure we wanted to run, and 10 guys got it, 1 guy didn't. It just happened to be where the ball was thrown, and that's where it's like you talk about it afterwards. Like, why did that happen? I mean, there's all different types of to things. Like, nobody wants to make a mistake in that moment. Nobody wants to not be on the same to be on the same page. But that's where, whether it's during a walkthrough, whether it's during the practice rep, whether it's your rep or not, we all got to be on the same page in those adjustments. And I'll tell you something we look at as coaches, we look at as players, and we all take ownership in it. And so it's all part of, right, how can we be better at executing the things that we're being asked to do, and then you got to go out there and do it.
We'll stay there for Corey.
The play to Morlock, it would have maybe almost iced the game at that point. It was a really big play. Did Keon engage too early?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. It's a slip screen back to the tight end, and you go back and watch it, and it's Kyle thought he was behind the line of scrimmage. He was slightly in front of it. There was a potential versus man to be able to take the guy and run him off. I mean, there's all different factors that can go into that. But that's one of those plays that's just where we got to be that much better. And we don't always control. I mean, I've seen that called a lot of different ways over the years. There was something that was that close, but it was a call that was made, and now we have to make sure that we improve from that. On LT's fumble, there was we had a miscommunication on that, and that's a play that's there, has a chance for a big gain. But unfortunately, it's just like those are the things that showed up there in the 4th quarter. That, I mean, you're a couple inches away from just really blowing that game out of the water for how we should finish, but we didn't. And so that's where we all get to look back and say, all right, why did this happen? How can we make it better? And then you go to work and work to fix it.
And then I wanted to ask about Keon. I don't know how many games he's had in his life where he had 0 catches. Have you talked to him after the game? Because he's such a special guy and such a big part of this offense. What was his mindset? What was your mindset with him? Because obviously you've got some huge games coming up the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of football. Sometimes it's not like we don't ever go into games and say, oh, we're not going to get this great player the ball. And when you look at it, there's it's a, there's a little bit of give and take. We snapped the ball 58 times. So, and he was targeted, I think it was 3-4 times, got the, throughout the contest, and unfortunately didn't result in any catches. But, that's kind of part of it. You looked the week prior, Jane Bell didn't have a catch. We scored 66 points. Johnny Wilson didn't have a catch. But other guys, took advantage of opportunities. We want to get our playmakers involved. And there were a few opportunities that we had, and whether it's different things that we could do to make sure we're finishing those plays, whether it's all that, and obviously I got to do a good job of making sure that to say force, but you want to make sure that those guys get active in the game, and it's just one of those things that occurs. And there's a lot of plays where he is a primary option, but if they give you something that's a little bit cleaner or more open, that's, like I said, we scored on 5 of our first 6 drives. So it wasn't like, oh, well, this was not working because we didn't get him the ball early. But, ultimately, yes, we want to get, all of our playmakers, opportunities to be able to do that. And, for what Johnny, I guess, lacked in production a week ago, he made up for it with a 100-yard receiving game this game. So Jaheim Bell with a couple really big games. So it's just, it's all, there's always going to be an ebb and flow in that. And, I thought Keon, his attitude, his approach, he's a real one. He's an absolute, real ball player that wants to, he wants to make an impact. He wants to have a big game. He wants to help his team win, and that's what makes him special. So, definitely excited to see, his continued growth, our continued growth, and it's the same thing with every player that we have.
We'll come over here for Brendan on your left.
How did Jordan feel physically leaving the game? Is the expectation for him to be?
Yeah, I was proud of him to, coming back. He got hit there on the last 2-minute drive. Landed on the ground awkwardly. Was uncomfortable. Probably physically going into the second half. But he came out first 2 drives. Touchdown drives. Made some really good throws. He had some runs there that they're late that were really good. He was sore after the game, but. I don't, not worried about, what his health to be here moving forward.
Chris?
From an offensive run game standpoint, do you feel like the offense has struggled with bread and butter plays that maybe they had success with a year ago? And just in general, the O-line, you've had used multiple people with some injuries up there. How's that group gelling through 3?
I don't think necessarily, struggle with bread and butter. It's ultimately trying to create space, trying to get run saves. I think we've done a good job of that early in the season, for a lot of situations. But ultimately, there's as teams try to adapt and adjust to what we're doing. I don't look at our offensive performance and saying, well, this was really bad. I think we've done well collectively. And you look in the first half of the LSU game, we didn't run the ball very well, but we were able to throw the ball, and and then in the second half, really, I think, finished the game because of our run game with some of the, I guess, bread and butter calls that we run. Second game, we ran for 300 yards. Really did a nice job within that. And then in the last game, it was a mixed bag. I thought, there was I thought we had some explosive run opportunities. I was really pleased with, Rodney Hill, I thought, came in and did a nice job, had a good, a couple really good explosive runs. I thought, Trey had, he was really close on a few. And, ultimately, he's continuing to push, and I know that, for what he did the week prior, there was a couple of those runs that, were one block, and it works with everybody. It's not, there was a couple times that we missed ID maybe with receivers on how we're trying to get to the force, that would have opened up just a little bit more of a seam. But, I think that's the fun of the run game. And, that's, as you're trying to work and create the best looks and advantages for your guys, it's just, that's that constant repetition. But I'm not really worried about where we are in that right now, and I don't think it's been something that's, been terrible. But there are obviously areas for improvement.
We'll still in the second row on the left for Essen.
Looking forward to Clemson a little bit, you've faced Will Shipley a few times. I don't think Klubnik started against you guys, but what do you see from them? How do you guys defend them this week?
No, I mean, it's a talented team. I mean, this is, you look at their offense, you got a new offensive coordinator, really sharp, knows how to put his guys in position to make plays. The versatility of Shipley is what makes him special. I mean, he is, he can catch the ball, he can run the ball, he's tough, he's physical. We've seen him, firsthand the last couple of years. Really been an X factor in our game. So we know that we're going to have to gear up, and we got to control him. The other back, Phil, he is really talented as well. Big, strong, tough nose running back. But if they get in the open field, they got the speed to take it. Take it the distance. They're experienced offensive line. Kate is really talented quarterback. I mean, he can locate the ball. He can make every throw. He's probably more athletic than people give him credit for. Just what he can do, just extending plays, being able to move, and then you can see the growth in their receiving corps. So it's gonna be a great challenge for us. Obviously, you look at some of the early, probably the first 6 quarters of the season. They had some uncharacteristic turnovers. I think they turned the ball over 3 times within the 10-yard line, or coming out with no points in those situations. Had an early turnover in the first quarter. I think they threw a pick 6. And then since that the last 6 quarters of football, I mean, they played at a very high level, and so you could see that all that kind of coming into play for them. So it's going to be a great challenge, but I know our guys are excited about it, and looking forward to a wonderful week of work and get a chance to go play it there on Saturday.
We'll go to Sydney in the very back on the right.
Coach, you talk about how your guys are looking forward to Clemson. I guess what kind of extra intensity are you hoping to see out of them? This is a big rivalry, and I know how much of a big deal it would mean for this program to finally get a win over Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go see us play our best game, and it is a standard expectation. But if you don't, I mean, everybody knows it's a big game. You got a team that's the last however many years, pretty much led the ACC in how they've played and what they've done. But I'm not sitting here just talking about Clemson. I mean, it's about us. It's about how we play, what we're able to do, and how we're able to execute. We know they're talented football team, and this is it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be a great an exciting game to be able to play in, and you got to prepare like that. But it was the same expectations of how we needed to prepare last week, and how you have to play for 60 minutes. But you learn from each experience, and you build towards what's ahead. But I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of motivational talks needed. But I'm sure going to give them, and because I just want our guys better than they've ever been. And that's the opportunity that we'll be able to sit here 3:30, 3:45 on Saturday, and know that whether we accomplish that or we didn't. And if that's the case, I've got a lot of confidence in what we'll be able to do, and I'll be able to live with whatever the result is. But we're going to play our best game. That's what I want to see. And I believe in this team. I believe in who I coach. I believe in the coaches that we have. And so I'm excited about this week of preparation, and really looking forward to them, capitalizing on the moment.
We'll go back to Ira, second row on the right.
You guys have really defended traditional running games very well so far this year in terms of just running backs, not running quarterbacks. But I guess I don't know, that might be traditional now. But looking at what Clemson does, is it more than just the fact that those are 2 really talented backs? Like, what do they do? What challenges they present as a running game?
I think it's and I think there are some similarities. I think with what you do in the passing game, and the creativity of utilizing your playmakers and trying to create space in the passing game, whether it's with route concepts, with the spacing, with the angles of what you're trying to do in the run game. It all has to tie together. And I mean, there's some offense as you watch, and people like to call it plays, and it looks good, but it's not. There's not a whole lot of coordination in it. I think they do a good job of coordinating their attack. And so whether it's you get a certain look, and you might see these handful of runs out of it, but then if you tie somebody down to try to cheat a hat, then they're gonna create an advantage in the passing game and be able to take advantage of that as well. So I think they do a good job of playing numbers, but they also do a good job of creating creating good leverage and to be able to attack in the run game when you have tough, physical, hard-nosed backs that can run. I mean, it makes it a challenge. And so when you have a gap, you got to win your gap, and you got to make the tackle if that's where the ball comes. And obviously there's going to be some space plays. That's something that shows up in this offense. And so I mean, we got to do a good job. And I don't think we did a very good job of making those space plays a week ago. That's something that we got to improve on. And ultimately, I know we're going to put a lot of emphasis and continue to emphasize that, because I mean that's the game of college football now, and we got to do a good job to be able to get people down when we get those situations.
Next will be Jack, second row on your left.
Do you feel a game you played at Boston College where it was a little bit more challenging, you faced a little bit more adversity going into the Clemson game, it's going to put you in a better place, maybe even more than you expected in the preseason?
Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for all experiences, especially ones we win. I mean, that's, you get to look back and, nobody wanted it to be a 2-point game, but it was. And, we had to respond in that situation. We had to feel that. We had to, it's especially being on the road. That was good for us. We know it's going to be an emotional atmosphere last week, and you got to give credit to Boston College. Played really hard. Their quarterback, made some big plays in moments, and so for us it was something you look at, and now it's, why did this happen? How do you get it corrected? And you better take the steps necessary so it doesn't show up again. And playing a perennial championship caliber team is what Clemson has been these last however many years. It's gonna be a challenge, but I'm excited about all that we've had, and we played in big games. I mean, it's not like we're coming into this game unknown of what we've faced. I mean, I think LSU is a pretty good football team, and I think they I don't know, I didn't watch the game, but I saw the score. I mean, they responded pretty well since ours, and so we know we played quality opponents. We've seen a variety of different looks, and now it's time to go play our best game. Here this week on the road against a really good opponent. So it's about our work.
All right, last one will be Corey.
Kind of following up on that, as a coach, how do you find the balance of, you talk about lessons. There's obviously lessons that you learned in the negative sense up in Boston, but also you went on a 28-0 run when you started slowly, and you went on a 38-3 run against a team that on Saturday at least looked like the best team in the country, what they did to Mississippi State. How do you have to remind the team, like, guys, when you play poorly, clearly you can lose to anyone, but when you play well, you might just be the best team in the country. How do you get that message to them?
You can't be afraid of the confrontation. And there's so many coaches out there that it's when things are going good, you check it off and you move forward. I mean, it's all. I mean, it is. You celebrate the positive, but you have to correct the things, or whether it's a lapse, whether it's a technique, whether it's a fundamental. There's never a play that it's okay not to coach, and it is. I think that's how you build confidence. That's how you build trust. If it's not right, as a head coach, I got to stand up and tell that it is on me. Like everything that we see within our program, whether it's a miscommunication, whether it's a bust, whether it's a really positive response to a situation, you got to take ownership. Why did that happen, right? How do we build upon that, whether it's good or bad? But you've got to be able to have that real talk, and you get to be honest. And I mean, that's one of my favorite things from yesterday is I sit in there and we're in the meetings, and you turn on a play where there's a defensive call we practiced 190 plus times since we started in the fall camp, and we busted it 3 times in the game. And it's probably as much as we've done it. Like, for that to show up with 3 MAs, why does that happen? What occurred? And our players, like, I heard ownership yesterday. And when you're 18 to 22-year-old, you're willing to stand up in front of your peers and say, look, I made the mistake there, right? For whatever the reason that it was, right? I understand that. I accept it. I'm fixing it. It will not happen again, right? That's a step in the right direction. You can find a million different excuses or reasons why it did, or this motion was this, or that happened. But ultimately, right, with the ownership of the action, right, and then the humility, in the correction or the improvement, that's That's something that we have to have. And, you know, that's what I love about this game, because it mimics life so much. It is just, you know, nobody wants to come up short. Nobody wants to have an embarrassing moment. Nobody wants to not look or perform to the level that you're capable of. But when it happens, what steps are you willing to take to get better of it, you know, from it? And, you know, that's where, you know, I was proud, because you make the run to go from whatever it was, 10-3 or 10-3 to 31-10. That was grit and response. But when it got 31-10, right, where did we go from there? Why did we have 4 focus penalties that showed up from that point to the end of the game? Why did we turn the ball over 2 times from that point to the end of the game? Why did we have, you know, a couple of certain things that happened in critical situations? There were a couple mistakes where we miss a single or we miss it. Why did that happen at that point? Right? Because, you know, just like in human nature, I mean, you get to a point and you're like, whew, all right, you start off a game and you're down, and nobody's pictures. We didn't sit there in a hotel thinking, hey, just wait till they go down and score on their first drive and we bust 2 opportunities in communication, and nobody thinks about that. But when it shows up, like, you know, there is an uncomfortable feeling. The response to it, to get back to 31-10, you know, there was still a quarter and a half left to go in the game. And that's the edge I'm talking about. Like, that's the, you know, I told the team after the game, I want, that's where the killer instinct has to set up, and like, this is done. I'm going to finish better than what it was. Pissed off that the fact that we started off not as good as we needed to. And we didn't have that. And so now you address it, you point it out, and now what do we need to do from Sunday night at practice to throughout the course of the week and how we prepare, to Friday night meetings, to Saturday morning when you wake up, all of it. And then you go get better. And when you have a team and you have coaches and you have a group that's in it together, that's willing to pour into each other, that's willing to hold each other to that standard and embrace that standard, well, then you got a chance. And I believe that's what we have in this team. But, you know, just saying it, that's one thing. Going out there and doing it, well, we'll get to see Saturday.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Y'all very much.
You too.